Talking to strangers while traveling. Americans are gregarious people, and while our social customs are much based on those of the English, we never did care for the rule that says one does not speak to strangers without introduction or strangers permit strangers to open conversation except for some valid reason to ask a direction, say. A teenage girl traveling alone on a train might reply courteously to a man in the next seat who tries to open a conversation. I am sorry, but I am not allowed to talk to strangers. She is too young to have discern discretion about such things, to too inexperienced to be able to distinguish between the forwardness of a man attracted by her youth and charm and the friendliness of another person who merely wants someone to talk to on a journey of several hours. Her answer is the only possible one, and the one her mother her insists on for her self-protection. If the stranger persists in his attentions, she should change her seat, or if there are no other seats and he is really offensive, as sometimes happens, say to the other say to the conductor as he comes through, I wonder if you will arrange to change my seat. The conductor knows immediately what the trouble is and acts accordingly. If there is no conductor immediately available, any girl or woman being annoyed is justified in turning to another passenger, man or boy, and saying quietly, I wonder if you will change seats with me. This is easily done, and the annoyer properly chastened, often to a degree that he leaves the car. A woman of more sophistication is usually able to appease strangers and their motives for speaking without introduction. In the subway bus or buses, in shared taxis where this is necessary, on ferry boats, and on suburban trains, it is relatively unusual for strangers to try to engage others in conversation, though it does happen often from the most innocent motives. I can remember getting on a Fifth Avenue bus at 34th Street, having my fare paid by a perfectly strange old man, having a few words with him, and being given his card, all within 8 blocks. I had been waiting for a taxi in the rain, then, in desperation, had boarded a bus without first having the fare in hand. I stood swaying, trying to reach my change in the depths of my bag, when a gentleman behind me reached forward and put the coin in the meter for me. Do permit me, he said. I found my fare as I made my way down the aisle and turning offered it to him. It so happened that the only seats were two next to each other, so we sat down together. He refused to take the money, but he was such a decorous old man that I could hardly be offended. I am the mayor of blank, he said, naming a western town. Here's my card. Now, when you come to our town, you just look me up and repay that fare if it bothers you. My wife will be glad to meet you, so remember. I realized that out west, his friendly gesture would seem the most natural thing in the world, while here, at first thought, it would seem embarrassing. On long train, bus, or plane rides, it is almost anxiematic, anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic that other travelers seated vis-a-vis or alongside a woman will try to open a conversation sooner or later. They should not be rudely snubbed, though if they seem hopelessly unattractive people or obviously impermeant, they are usually shut off by a murmured in answer to some obvious question as such as you bound you bound for Chicago. A book or paper is always a safe refuge, and boorish indeed is the person who persists in trying to maintain a conversation with someone who buries her nose in the printed page, or one who answers everything in monosyllables. In talking with strangers, it is unwise to volunteer information about one's self except in the vaguest manner. One rarely exchanges names or tells one's plans or home address. Conversations, if any, should be kept on impersonal topics: the weather, the scenery, perhaps, the daily news. Certainly, a woman never accepts the hospitality of a strange man by allowing him to pay for refreshments or a meal en route, or by accepting an invitation to lunch or dine when both reach a common destination. A woman accepting such an invitation, even from a man who has established that they have friends or acquaintances in common, and who has carefully identified himself, make makes a serious mistake if the interest is really mutual and she wishes to see him. After the trip, she can arrange for him to call when she will be with friends or relatives who can help appraise him. Otherwise, she may find herself in a position with, with which it is difficult to cope. A man may easily leap to conclusions if his invitation to a woman to whom he has not really been properly introduced is unquestionably in unquestioningly accepted. It is, of course, dangerous for a woman to accept an invitation even from another woman encountered during travel. Yet again, there are always exceptions, and one usually learns to recognize motives. I once found it absolutely necessary because of an undelivered cable to share a room in a crowded Basel hotel. I want to say Basel Hotel with an English girl whom I had talked to on the trip, but about whom I knew nothing except her name. It was that or sit up all night in the lobby, and we both decided to risk being roommates. I put my money under my pillow and said my prayers. Amen. She was up before me and off to Italy, but I never forgot her kindness in letting me have part of the room that was really hers, for it was my reservation that had gone wrong. That concludes talking to strangers while traveling. SB. Well, hi, everybody.